and welcome back to the National Veterans Radio Show. Today, we have a great show for you, and you're going to meet some amazing Marines that are doing great work. My name is Shelley Harrison. I'm your host. I'm also the co-director for the Inland Empire and Orange County chapters of the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce. So I'm very proud to be part of the program. And today like I mentioned, we are talking with Heroes in Actions, and we have our one of our chamber supporters and someone that you may know and you've seen on the show before, Gary, who will be interviewing these two phenomenal Marines. So I want to go ahead and just ask everyone, go ahead and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And we'd love to hear your live questions. So please feel free to put those in the chat, depending on where you're watching the show. And I'm going to go ahead and bring Gary on. And again, you're going to hear from two phenomenal Marines, and their names are Ron Fannin and Lewis Abrams. So definitely, we want to hear from both of them. And Gary, I think you have them there with you in your location. And I'm going to turn it over to you so you could do those wonderful interviews. And I'll be back at the end of the show.
Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody, wherever you're at out there. My name is Gary Roman, as you can see. I'm at Camp Pendleton today, and I've been here 3 days conducting transition workshops. This week, I happen to have a group of individuals that are leaders within the Marine military community. And I'm very fortunate to be able to talk to them or share their story to some extent with you out there. So our first guest is Ron Fannin. Ron, I'm going to let him do a lot of the introductions about himself. But Ron is in the process of you're completing almost 20 years, right?
20 years, September 1st.
20 years, when was that?
September 1st.
September 1st. So Ron, let me ask you, for me, based upon me being kind of an old man, you look like a kid.
I get that a lot.
You get that?
I do.
What are you doing to keep that youthful look?
I don't know. I get that question a lot. And I just try to keep my stress as low as possible. I don't know how I can with a wife and 4 kids, but somehow I'm managing.
So you're completing your service. You have a wife and 4 kids.
Correct.
What's the youngest? What's the oldest?
My youngest is 9. He's my son. And my oldest is 17 and a half, about to graduate high school this year.
Isn't that amazing? So Ron, let me ask you, why did you join the military?
Out of high school, I didn't really have a whole lot of focus or purpose in life. I joined the corporate world and just didn't enjoy it too much. And at the time, I was with my wife. She was my girlfriend. And we just decided that I needed to do something that was going to give me that motivation and that purpose. Surprisingly, I went and signed up for the Air Force originally, and they couldn't get me out in time. So I told the Air Force recruiter, I was like, hey, I need to go and see what other branches have to offer. Walked next door to the Marine Corps. A week later, I was in MCRD San Diego having boot camp.
Okay. So let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 the lowest, how would you rate your career?
It's kind of a challenging question for me. With the experiences that I've gained through the last 20 years, the people that I've met, it's been a 10.
I kind of expected that based upon our prior discussions. So Ron we've been in this, what we call a transition class all this week. He's been here since Monday. Today's the last day. I've been able to work with them the last 3 days, primarily to help them prepare for their next career. So Ron, tell me, you don't have to worry about my feelings, but how would you rate the last 3 days?
I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, it was about a 15.
15. Well, I'll pay you. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So based on what you heard this week, have you identified what you think your main challenges will be when you get out?
My main challenge is going to be selling myself.
Selling yourself.
That marketability and that branding. Throughout the Marine Corps, we're always taught to focus on our Marines, not really focus on ourselves and selling ourselves. So as I'm starting to begin that transition, and everything I've learned in your class is you have to be on the forefront. You have to be engaged in branding yourself and selling yourself. And that's something that's becoming extremely challenging for me.
Yeah. And of course, you hit it right on the head. I mean, when you're in the military, it's about the team,
Yes.
right? And all about the team. When you get out now, it's all of a sudden about you.
Yes.
And that's something you haven't or used to.
No, not at all.
So I might add, you've done a tremendous work this week in the class.
Appreciate it.
Ron, one of our former guest speakers was going to, unfortunately, she's not here today, but she was going to talk about Skill Bridge. Mm-hmm. And so there may be some out there that some employers, possibly organizations that would benefit from the Skill Bridge program. So Ron is in the process of applying for the Skill Bridge program. And what kind of program are you looking at right now?
Something in the information technology realm, mid to upper level management, because that's just kind of where I see my skills and abilities being able to impact whatever corporation or business I go into.
So the Skill Bridge programs allows veterans that are within 120 days of separation, if they get approval from the company and their commander, that they can then participate in an internship with a company organization and still draw their military pay while they're doing it, because they'll be getting out in 120 days. So the company's not paying them anything, but they're providing them training to help them prepare more effectively. In some cases, it may lead to a job at that company. So it's a tremendous program. So where are you at in the program right now?
I'm currently going through the Hiring Our Heroes. I am building out my acceptance letter and getting it routed through my chain of command to see if it'll get approved.
Hopefully it will be, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. So that's Ron Fannin. I have another Marine that I'd like to introduce you. Thank you, Ron. Don't go away.
Okay.
We may have some more questions. So I want to introduce you to Lewis Abrams. And he looks like a kid too. And I'm unfortunately, my age is showing publicly. But Lewis, how long have you been in the Marines?
June will be 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
And what do you do in the Marines?
So I'm an intelligence chief, and pretty much what I do is I work with all the intelligence collection capabilities, and I write up all the products, I do all the briefings, and pretty much give it to the decision makers of what's going on and what we can do to prevent it.
So you decipher, in essence, what's kind of going on out there, and you kind of summarize it, and you probably provide some recommendation. How should we deal with it if it were to occur, right?
Correct. Yes.
The people that have run Lewis's talent it's amazing. I've been able to have a chance to not only chat with Lewis, but there have been other Marines in my class that do similar stuff. And I can say firsthand, I'm just amazed at their abilities and what they have to offer. And I think they have bright careers waiting for them. They just got to find the right fit. So Lewis, how's this week been for you?
So this week has been definitely something that I've able to cherish, to be able to learn the knowledge I have, focus on the networking, being able to fine tune what I have and send it out to be more competitive, to have that easier transition for me. And that's what I've appreciated this whole entire time. I unfortunately, got this class too late, and I highly encourage people to do it, that year out, or even, do it that 2 years out and be able to take all those extra TRS classes available, whether it's employment, school, or small business.
Yeah. So just for informational purposes, the military that are transitioning out have other courses they can take. We have one on entrepreneurship. We have one on education. And then the other one is a vocational program that helps military professionals who don't know what they want to do to take some assessments. We help them, based upon those scores, identify potential careers that they can move into. Wonderful course. So we do all we can to be able to help equip veterans before they actually take off that uniform. So, Louis, let me ask you then, similar to what I asked Ron, but what are the challenges you anticipate when you get out?
The challenges I anticipate when I get out is mainly going to be that transition to make sure you secure a job or career. I have a wife and 2 kids, and I started late. I don't have 4 kids, and not 17. I have 2 under 2, and especially my wife stays at home. So the stress of me able to make sure that I continue to have that quality of life for them, that's probably the biggest thing I'm most concerned about. But other than that, as long as I have a strong network, I think it's going to complement my sprightly attitude and my, just my aptitude of like, I want to work and I love working with teams, and let's continue to move forward.
So when did you join the military? Was it right after high school, or did you have another job beforehand?
No, it was right after high school. So I actually had to have my mother sign the paperwork when I was 17. And so then after that, I just kind of waited right after high school and just went into boot camp.
So as I asked Ron, I kind of put him on the spot, but how would you rate your career in the Marines?
It's definitely something that's like everyone's careers. It's not perfect, but you make what is perfect for you. So I cannot take back anything that I wanted to do. For instance, I've been to over 20 different countries. I've been able to, all for work or for pleasure, just do opportunities. Education, the amount of education they provided for me, I just can't take that away. Or the fact that if it wasn't for the military, I wouldn't have been able to meet my wife in Tampa, Florida. So, the hardships that come with the positives, just like everything else, we take things in strides, and we also say, like, how do I take advantage of this? And so that's what the military, and specifically the Marine Corps, has done for me.
So you've been in 20 years,
mm-hmm.
And how long have you been an intelligence analyst?
So that will accumulate roughly about 16 years of it, and then 3 years of being an embassy security guard detachment commander. So luxuries of the Marine Corps is we're the only service that protects the embassies. And due to my capabilities and my rank, I was able to do that in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and Jeddah, Saudi Arabia for 3 years. And again, it's a wonderful opportunity I wouldn't take away.
So. Yeah, outstanding. So as a result of your career, you've developed other skills and other abilities during that time, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so you now are able to. I always tell the veterans that they are better prepared, or better their qualifications exceed those, in many cases, those others that have not served. Now, we don't discriminate or anything, but they gain other skills that others do not have, and they have the experience. So, I mean, veterans have a lot to offer. So our time is kind of running down here. So, Louis, you're looking at SkillBridge too, right?
Yes, I'm looking at SkillBridge, but if an opportunity arises, because again, I'm so close to retirement, employment, or SkillBridge is where I'm at, or terminal leave. So.
Okay. So have you had any companies identified yet?
Just a couple of them. Today I had a meeting with one, and I'm trying to see if they're going to have the locations I want. I'm not as far as advanced as Ron is, where he was able to get the work on the letters and work for Hiring Heroes. I started just going to the DoD SkillBridge website and contacting them directly to get more information first, and then working with the Marine and Family Readiness programs to help facilitate some of these things.
Okay. So how's the class been this week?
The class has been very good. As mentioned earlier, the resume examples, your critiquing of mine has definitely helped create a better resume. Learning certain things I wish I knew earlier in my career, so I could just kind of prepare better. But I'm thankful that the military does make this a requirement. So
Sure.
it makes total sense.
Well, we're almost out of time. I want to thank you, Louis, for being willing to share your story. And I want to thank Ron, who's aside here, and for your time to share your story as well. And I thank the audience, and I thank the National Veterans Chamber. I mean, a tremendous organization, and especially all the things they are doing for our military community. So it's been a pleasure with you, and I look forward to seeing you all again next month.
Thank you, Gary, for the presentation, and thank you to Ron and Louis for your participation on the show today. And it's always great to see how people are perceiving their transition out of the military, and you will find so many resources available to you guys, and it's but it's always a challenge. You know, it is what it is. And when we get out, is a challenge to find that groove that takes on as we look for the new career. One thing that I wanted to kind of share with you, Gary, and for you and you, Louis and Ron, and anybody out there, there's a big difference as we work with companies to help them onboard military. One of the things that they always ask us is, why are we hiring veterans and or non-veteran? What's the difference of the two? And one of the things that we teach in leadership is that motivation is key. You talk about this, Louis and Ron mentioned that too, being motivated, working with your team and stuff. But as doing the research, here is the big difference that brings the highest separation and differentiation between non-veterans and veteran employees. The biggest difference is that motivated employees work harder. Self-motivated employees work hard without even people looking over their shoulders. The difference is that military veterans work hard and harder even though they're not motivated. Because like you said, both of you said, you know, the career in the military goes up and down. Sometimes are tens, sometimes are zeros. You know, digging those trenches or doing the cleanups on all those things that we don't like to do. So, but even though we don't like to do those, we do them. So that is the big difference, that regardless of the motivation, you have a dedicated commitment to excellence. You have a dedicated commitment to complete the task, to complete the mission. Something that as civilians don't have it unless they're motivated. So employers always look for ways to motivate employees. But when you hire a veteran, they come in with not just the motivation, but the commitment to complete the task, regardless of what that task is. And that's a huge, huge advantage that that we educate employers on what is the advantage of hiring veteran for their companies. Again, I wanted to thank you both. I know we're out of time, but I really appreciate it. And we're going to bring back our host so she can close our show.
All right. Very nice to meet you, gentlemen. And Gary, you did a wonderful job asking the right questions and really, supporting our veterans. And we want to thank both Ron and Louis for being here today. As far as our show, that's all the time that we have today. And we want to thank you for being on the radio show. And catch us every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, thanking Gary Roman and also the exceptional Marines that you met today, both Ron Fannin and Louis Abrams. And thank you, our audience, for tuning in with us. And if you didn't get to watch the beginning of the show, go back and watch it on YouTube. It's also on Facebook and LinkedIn and plenty of other platforms. And thanks again for joining us. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and any other platforms that the National Veterans Chamber is on. And I especially want to thank our executive director, Mr. Joseph Molina, for all of his leadership and the things that he does to support our our veterans and their families and all the programs that are offered through our Veterans Chamber. So with that, have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time. Bye.